Good evening, everyone. Myself, Engineer Sandeep Bansal, on behalf of Board of Directors of CEV Integral Appraiser Foundation, the registered Section 8 company and a registered valuer organization under the authority IBBI. I welcome you all on this prestigious event when our organization is celebrating International Women's Day. As you may be aware, International Women's Day is celebrated globally on 8th of March every year to celebrate the achievements of women and mark a call to action for gender equality. International Women's Day also aims to draw attention to issues faced by women and advocate the women's empowerment. In order to celebrate International Women's Day to recognize exceptional work undertaken towards women empowerment, we seek your support for celebrating women's achievement, focusing on eliminating gender-based violence and discrimination, along with adopted innovative approaches to bring perceptible changes to the technical, social, political, economical, and cultural empowerment of women. We at CEV IF RVO are organizing an event today at 12th of March to be the step closer to gender equality and the vision of women living with dignity and contributing as equal partner in development in an environment free from violence and discrimination. A suitable report along with pictures and videos of the event will be prepared and submitted to the authority IBBI in the forthcoming days, as per the instructions of the authority. As an initiative taken by the CEV, by our all chapter chairmen, that they have initiated a special women chair in the governing board team, and the designation of that chair will be the joint secretary. Congratulations to all chairmen, and we are highly thankful to them for creating this chair in their chapter headquarters as a governing board member. Now, I would like to hand over the platform to our women representative and organizer of this event, Dr. Shafalika, and registered valuer Akshada Sushant Dhoot, to please continue with the event and take the charge. Thank you very much.
Greetings of the day to everyone present here. On behalf of the Board of Directors, as the woman representative of CEV IF RVO, I welcome all the faculties, participants, and observers to this event. As we all know, we are here to celebrate the presence of women in society and to celebrate their achievements, to celebrate International Women's Day. An organizer, administrative leader, director, recreator, partner, daughter, health officer, teacher, an artist, architect, registered valuer, a woman has various roles to play in her life. To celebrate the importance and significance of women in every person's life, every year, International Women's Day is celebrated on 8th March. Women's Day recognizes and celebrates women in every field. A woman has a positive mind and a fierce nature to excel in their respective fields. Professional and educational institutions are now open to celebrate Women's Day. It's a sign of progress, and they are teaching students to honor and respect a woman. Empowering women is a big responsibility, but it's also vital for gender equality. Furthermore, society benefits when women are treated with respect and are not treated as second-class citizens. Women used to be limited in their houses and were not allowed to leave the house for employment before, but now things have drastically changed. Furthermore, this generation has high regard for women and places a high value on them. Women are undoubtedly turning the world's attention to them. Also, it was previously impossible, but it is now doable, and they are doing so on. Women are achieving incredible heights and even traveling to space, as can be seen. I want to conclude my speech by saying that International Women's Day is dedicated to celebrating the achievements of women in technical, financial, social, cultural, and political fields. The day formed by women helps in bringing attention towards the forgotten women, right and gender equality in a few places around the world. It should be considered a day where everyone acknowledges the value and the importance of women in our lives and all around the world. CEVIFRU salutes all the women out there who are doing wonders all around the globe and making their nation proud, especially who came forward with their special topic presentation on this special day. Now, I request my colleague, architect Akshita Dhoot, registered valuer, to take the charge to coordinate this event as per the rules of CEV. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this small webinar on women empowerment. As just said by Shefalika ma'am, women empowerment, for this International Women's Day, we celebrate on 8th March every year. But as we all know, that a single day, we can't imagine a single day without a woman in a house. It all becomes a mess. So women empowerment, it actually comes when we become independent. If we have the right to take our decisions, we have the power. And now it's glad to know that women are equally active in all the sectors of our society. Government is also taking many efforts to create awareness about women empowerment. And this webinar is just a small small information, small awareness on women empowerment. So now I request our first topic for today's presentation is women's empowerment in valuation sector. It will be presented by RV Kunjan Rajdev and RV architect Malika Jain. Now I request both the RVs to just take upon the presentation and help us with the presentation ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi, Namaskar. A very good evening to you all. Today, me, Gunjan, and architect Malika will take this opportunity provided to us by CEV for putting our views and vision about women empowerment in front of all of you. Now, before going any further, I would like to introduce architect Malika to all of you. As evident from her intro, she is architect by profession and practicing fairly well in Tri-City. She had been the faculty member of CCA, Chandigarh College of Architecture, and Refers Millennium College. She is quite a busy girl and a bit empowered too. Now, another interesting fact about both of us is that we are sharing any common platform to speak about is happening almost after 20 years. Yes, you heard it right. We know each other back from our UNIF days. We are both GNGU pass outs, same university, same department, same hostel, now same room. And from that time till today, we are going strong. Whole this scenario is giving me those UNIF vibes again. Like if this topic would have been given to us about contesting about the UNIF elections for presidency post, and the topic would have been the women empowerment, then one of us must have won those elections for sure. उस टाइम पे हम बहुत vocal हुआ करते थे, अब तो बहुत mellow down हो गए हैं, बहुत ही आदर्श बनने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. But anyhow, now what's your take, Malika?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, I would extend a thank you to the entire CV team for giving us an opportunity to talk about this. And I see many learned names and learned people here, and I'm very glad and honored to be a part of, to be able to speak on this platform. And yeah, Gunjan, so I feel that we are preparing for a Viva as we a degree. Yeah,
Actually,
okay.
तब भी parts divided होते थे. ये वाला part मेरा, library study मेरी, case study तेरी.
Okay, right. Okay, so let's just start with let's just first start why are we talking about women empowerment? Gunjan, you take it from here.
Okay, now coming back to the present, and as per the topic given is women empowerment, what we are supposed to talk about today. Now, when Sandeep sir called me and said that we are giving you guys one topic of about women empowerment for about which you are supposed to talk for say 10-15 minutes, then when when I was done with this call, then the very first thing that stuck to my mind was, okay, so Women Day is coming. That is why I'm getting so much messages about Nari Shakti and all these days on my phone. So मतलब उससे पहले बच्चों के एग्जाम चल रहे हैं, तो I was out of this women empowerment scene. तो जब सर का फोन आया तो मुझे याद आया, अच्छा ठीक है भाई, हमारे दिन आ रहे हैं, हमारे अच्छे दिन आ रहे हैं. Anyhow, as you all must have been reading, and as the slide in front of you says, that जैसे ही ये celebration का कोई दिन आता है, let's say Women's Day is coming near, like 8th of March, or any such session which is going to take place at a national or international level, like today's like we are having a session about women empowerment. तो suddenly हम देखते हैं हमारे आसपास जितने भी news articles हैं, हमारे जितने भी news channels हैं, उनकी debates जो होती हैं, या जो सबसे common medium हम लोगों के पास है to talk about or to get information from हमारे WhatsApp groups, उसमें अचानक से ही हम देखना शुरू कर देते हैं कि बस नारी ही शक्ति है, और जो एक वुमेन बहुत फेमस कोटेशन जो हम अपने हॉस्टल रूम के पोस्टर्स में अपने डोर पे पेस्ट किया करते थे कि women can build a very strong foundation out of all the stones or the bricks that you felt at her. Or I remember one famous quote by Mahatma Gandhi, which says that a woman is a companion of a man gifted with equal mental capacity. Now, if only for a minute I close my eyes, सुबह उठते ही पहला मैं अपनी आईज क्लोज करूं और किसी भी इनमें से एक मैसेज को ट्रू मान लूं, सच मान लूं कि हाँ भाई नारी सब कुछ है, तो what is the point of having such occasion or celebrating a Women's Day or having this session where we are participating to get to know about more about women empowerment. So if we believe about the scene around us, that woman is so much loved, that we believe in women so much and we admire her so much, then there is no need to celebrate any such Women's Day or to take chanting the slogans of women empowerment. As had ever we as a society thought that why a Men's Day is not celebrated, why there is no need of having a session over a men empowerment, हमें उसकी जरूरत क्यों नहीं पड़ती. So बजाय इससे पहले कि हम नारी को जगाएं भी, जाग, तेरे जागने की जरूरत है, तेरे जागने से सब कुछ होगा, उससे पहले हमें शायद इस प्रॉब्लम को जानने की जरूरत है कि वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट की जरूरत है क्यों. वुमेन इतनी मतलब वुमेन को प्रॉब्लम्स क्या फेस करनी पड़ रही है कि हमको उसको कहना पड़ रहा है कि भाई तेरे को एम्पावर होने की जरूरत है. सो मलाइका.
Yeah, okay. So, right. So first, let us, before talking about women empowerment, we would first like to talk about that, as Gunjan said, why a Women's Day and why not a Men's Day. So let us first understand the problems. Have you ever seen a male child being killed in the womb? That there's a problem of female infanticide. This is a patriarchal society in which it's generally the men who have the final word. Rapes, pay inequality, gender inequality. And majority of the men that we meet in our life, even the men in my life or your life, they would say, मैंने आज तक कभी किसी female के साथ bias नहीं किया. I have never raped anyone. I have not done this. तो मेरे ऊपर ये लागू नहीं होता, मैं सही हूँ. The entire society should fix themselves for the empowerment, right? But we would like to bring your notice to this point. Have you ever said, how many of you here when you are driving your cars or पीछे से this useless honking and they say लड़की चला रही होगी? How many of the people here say that? And why is it लड़की को तमीज सिखाओ, इसको कल दूसरे घर जाना है, adjust करना है. We know many women who are teaching their children to cook as well. But this gender inequality or somewhere, why not? I mean, it can be, why can't they say that वो जो पीछे से honk कर रहा है कोई learner होगा, कोई लड़की नहीं होगी. And let's just understand now these are the problems, these are the major problems which root up. This is like a tree. We need to fix the roots. It's then that all these problems arise. Now let us understand the root of a problem. For any child who is brought up, we all have children, right? We have males and females, and then we have brothers, sisters. So as far as we remember, we don't remember that our parents made any bias. And if we are a mother or a father to the children, none of us, I think, of all the esteemed members here will be doing their bias. But in a typical family scenario, what happens? What does a child typically see? I'm sure in 60 to 70% of the houses, what happens is the man goes to work, comes back tired, chai pi, paper pada, and then the woman, if she happens to be working, she rushes in the morning, fixes everything, khana bana rahi hai, lunch pack kar rahi hai, ja rahi hai, goes to work, and please read this, enters the meeting room prepared with no room for errors. And after that, she comes back from work, finishes her day, enters the house, and the house is on fire. She has homework, etc., etc., etc. And the biggest help that everyone says, we allow them to work. This is the help that we get. So this is the kind of, for us, that is our take, that if a child, a male child, is seeing something like these being done in their family, they think that's the way of life. And if you see my daughter doing this for me, ultimately she wants a kitchen set because she thinks that this is what she wants to do. I really see the male child asking for a kitchen set in an Indian domain. Why? We need to think of these. This is the root of the problem. And then if we go to this ultimately leads to the larger problem. So first thing which we all need to fix up is our mindset. Okay, so at work, yeah, Gunjan, I think that you can share your experiences being a woman valuer.
Now here, as Malika just said, here we are talking about a society. We are not targeting a men in particular. It could be a woman. The society includes both men and women, be it in a form of a father, a husband, a mother, or in-laws, or colleagues maybe. So all these are the part of the society here, which we are talking about. We are not particularly targeting a men, right? It's not only about men, right? So from my experiences of discovering myself as a painter of a canvas, that was when I was a kid. My father gave me the canvas, a blank canvas to paint my life with my own rules, with my own colors, with my own paths, with my own journey. Whatever I wanted to do, I did. Like there was no restriction kind of a thing. But when I stepped out into a practical world, then I found no, it is not the same world. It is entirely different. Like जब हमने काम करना शुरू किया, मैंने as an architect पहले 2003 में जब हम pass out हुए, initially I worked as an architect till 2016. उसके बाद I pursued valuation as my profession because COVID में ये मेरा part time से full time profession बन गया था. तो जब initially मैंने as an architect काम करना शुरू किया, what I found was हम क्लाइंट हमारा कहता है हाँ इस लड़की को हम ये प्रोजेक्ट इसलिए दे देते हैं कि चलो लड़की है ये घर को अच्छे से सुंदर बना देगी, राइट? वो किसी तरह से हम उसको कन्विंस करते हैं कि नहीं हम सिर्फ सुंदर ही नहीं बना सकते, हम उसको स्ट्रक्चरली भी खड़ा कर सकते हैं. हमने उसको कन्विंस किया कि भाई हम तेरा घर बना देते हैं. हम गए साइट पे, वहां पर हम अगेन एक मेन डोमिनेटेड सोसाइटी में गए जहाँ पे कॉन्ट्रैक्टर एक मेल था. उसने कहा लो जी हुन एक गुड्डी सानू दस्से कि सर कितना पाना है, काइंड ऑफ ऑल दिस थिंग्स, राइट? तो it took me almost 2 projects to convince that contractor ki yes, this girl can teach, not only teach you how to where a wall should be placed, but she can also teach you structures as well. Then जब हम it took me almost 2 projects. जब third project पे उसका मुझे सामने से फोन आया कि हाँ भाई मैम वो आपको कंसिडर कर रहे हैं to be their architect and interior designer, मेरा नाम भी आप as a contractor आप put up कर दीजिए. So this was the moment where I felt empowered कि yes, I have proved myself. पर ये proving तब से कंटिन्यू है और अब तक चले ही जा रही है. बार बार हमको प्रूव ही करना पड़ रहा है, चाहे वो वैल्यूएशन का फील्ड ले लीजिए. When I entered the field of valuation, तो जब हमारे टाइम पे IBBI का इतना नहीं था, इनकम टैक्स का सर्टिफिकेट होना वाज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. तो जब वो सब मिल गया उसके बाद हमने अप्लाई करना शुरू किया और एम्पैनलमेंट हो गया. तो जब हम बैंक्स में जाते थे तो मैनेजर्स का फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन होता था, सो आप है वैल्यूअर, वी वर एक्सपेक्टिंग सम मिस्टर गुंजन राजदेव विल कम इन फ्रंट ऑफ अस, ओके सो यू आर, हाउ विल यू मैनेज, हाउ विल यू डू द वर्क, आप साइट्स को कैसे कैरी करोगे, आप ये फील्ड जॉब है एक तरह से, हाउ विल यू मतलब हाउ विल यू टेक इट फॉरवर्ड। तो ग्रेजुअली धीरे धीरे अब उन्हीं मैनेजर्स के हमें कॉल आते हैं टू क्रॉस चेक अदर्स वैल्यूएशन, अदर वैल्यूअर्स वैल्यूएशंस, कि आप इसको चेक करिएगा, ये बड़ा लोन हम फंड कर रहे हैं, तो क्या इज दिस द करेक्ट वे। तो अच्छा लगता है यहाँ पे, अगेन आई प्रूव माई सेल्फ एंड गॉट एम्पावर्ड, बट ये प्रूविंग चलती ही जा रही है, चलती ही जा रही है। तो मतलब देयर शुड बी समथिंग।
Yeah, right, true. Yeah, so if I talk about the problems that you face in valuation and in architecture, as Gunjan rightly said, like we work twice to avoid hearing ye kaam ladkiyon ke nahi hai. We are very well told, and we are told this almost every day, right? So if I remember one of the things which me and Gunjan did together. So there were very funny questions which are asked. The contractors make a vertical joint in the wall, and then they are thinking, dekhte hain aaj pakadti hai ki nahi pakadti. Vertical joint in the wall. And when you tell them that you are wrong, and then they are like, nahi ye aise hi hota hai. So if you read the second point, the common uniting element in all the labor on the site is that they are men. And they want to go to any extent to chuck you out of the site. And then they will ask with questions, rainwater की पाइप को सीवर लाइन में डाल दें, आपका क्या ख्याल है? अगर आपने बोला रेनवाटर कैसे जा सकता है सीवर लाइन में, then they will say, अच्छा हाइट बताओ, ग्रेडियंट बताओ, and they do not. So this is like, you know, we come across like so many things. And then sometimes it's like the head of the family. When you are working with the head of the family and you're probably making a house for 3 generations. So the Papaji or the Dadaji of the family has the final word. And when you're sitting and talking and then contradicting, Papaji says, is kamre ko rasta is kamre se de do. And we tell him that this is not possible. So then it's like, how can you contradict the word? And then it's like that sometimes we face things like, as Gulshan rightly said, कि आप काम और बच्चे कैसे manage करोगे? बच्चे are our prime responsibility, and they are people are just scared to work with women professionals because they think अगर इनका बच्चा बीमार हो गया, they'll call in sick. अगर इनके घर में कुछ हो गया तो फिर इनको छुट्टी लेना पड़ेगा. How will we manage? And if you have babies, end of the career. I think Kareena Kapoor can get back to work, do the gymming and get back. But for women architects, it takes guts. And for women valuers, it takes guts to do that. I just remember, I got a call from my plumber in the morning today. There was some stupid thing which he did on site. And he calls me up and says, अवेलेबल रहना होता है फोन के लिए, जनानियों के जैसे इधर उधर बातें नहीं करनी होती हैं सुबह सुबह. And I was like, you did something wrong and I'm fixing that. And unfortunately, you're going to work with a woman architect for the next 6 months. You like it or leave it, but you need to take my instructions. And you're not the one who's going to tell me. And this is something which we have learned in 20 years of our career. So yeah, so these are the problems that we have been facing. And then let's just not focus only on the problems. The point is that what me and Gunjan thought, we wanted to bring your attention कि actually में problem है. It's just not a topic. और हम सब इसके लिए कुछ ना कुछ कर सकते हैं.
Just letting, allowing her to work, saying that हमने तो उसको allow कर दिया काम करने के लिए, हमने अपना bit कर दिया, is not enough. That bit is adding another burden to her. ये आपने नहीं सोचा. आपने ये कह दिया कि हाँ भाई जाओ काम कर लो, हमने तो तुम्हें आजादी दी पैसा कमाने की, राइट? पैसा कमाने की, उसको अपने हिसाब से खर्च करने की, पर तुम ये भूल गए उस पैसा कमाने के लिए जो अपना टाइम, एनर्जी और सब डिवोट कर रही है, उसके बदले में व्हाट डिड यू गेट? अब बहुत कॉमन है हम सबकी फैमिलीज में, लाइक संडेज. अच्छा आज संडे है, आज फिर तुमने पराठे बना दिए, कुछ अलग बना देती यार. तुमने ये बता दिया कि अलग बना देती, तुमसे ये ना हुआ कि अच्छा मैं आज 365 संडेज है जिससे ये काम कर रही है, आज ये वाले संडे में मैं कुछ बाहर से ले आता हूँ, लेट मी सरप्राइज हर. वो नहीं. वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट ये नहीं है कि हमने उसको अथॉरिटी देनी है. वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट है अगर हम उसको एक रास्ता दिखा रहे हैं तो उस पर चलना भी आसान करना है उसके लिए, राइट?
Right. So yes, so we want to be fragile, not like a flower, but be like a bomb. So I think this is something which all the women need to follow. And I think that it's important for, first of all, the first step. Now we're going to talk about the measures that we have to take to fix this problem. The first is that the women need to learn to empower themselves.
Right.
Are the ones who have to first put across our demands, because there might be, it's not only the men that we are targeting or talking about, we are talking about society in general.
As a whole. Right.
आज अगर मैं रिसीविंग एंड पे हूँ, कल मैं गिविंग एंड पे हूँ, तो अगर मुझे ये समझना है कि अगर मुझे कहीं पे हेल्प या सपोर्ट चाहिए या मुझे लग रहा है कि उसको फिक्स करना है, then I have to make the people realize that. I have to wait rather than they thinking that क्या चाहिए. कई बार किसी को पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि दूसरे को क्या चाहिए. And a wise woman can predict the future because she's the one who creates it. First of all, we cannot just keep blaming. उसने ये कर दिया इसलिए मैंने ये काम नहीं किया, उसने ये कर दिया मैंने इसलिए ये काम नहीं किया. So our urge to the woman is, first of all, you be clear about yourself. What is it that's going to make your life easy? Then you go to the people and then start blaming. If you blame if you do not get the support, but first ask for it,
Right.
rather than accepting it all by yourself. So yes, so when we talk of how can the society help in empowerment on a very practical thing, by society, again, I see that there are a majority of men here. Please don't take it personally for yourself. This is not a ta-ta-ta session for you. It is just that how we as a society, as mothers, mother-in-laws, as parents or as colleagues, how can we do that? Being sensitive to their needs and not expecting them to adjust always. That is very important. Giving them a clean living condition and childcare rooms is very important everywhere. Everywhere that will allow women to get their children to work. If she's going for evaluation, if she's going anywhere, it should be just fine. If a woman is taking her child along, that should be fine as long as it's not impacting your work. Supporting girls or women in crisis, if they are in a situation, let's say that we have a fresher who just joined in as a valuer. तो अगर कोई लड़की है, अगर उसने गलत कर भी दिया, तो जैसे आप किसी आदमी को सपोर्ट करेंगे, उसके ऊपर हंसने से बेटर उसको let's just support them. Let's just support them. And you need to mentor a girl, because if you see, I don't know how many of you have watched Bombay Begums on Netflix, but if you see that thing trickling down even in such corporate sector, such educated sector, where the women are, they are suppressed, not allowed to raise their voice. So in that case, probably we should do that. Investing in the business, using your voice to keep. Yes, we not only to cook, unko educate karna important hai. Helping a new mom and telling the woman that you care, saying thank you for all the contributions that they're doing. And most important, we don't want to dress up to work. We don't have to look good always. So assessing and complimenting their achievements, not their appearance. And one more thing, the woman will always not play the woman card to bag any project or to bag any work. Most of the times we deserve it. Would any one of us invest our money in a good-looking architect or a good-looking engineer just because they look good? Will that help us in our work? No. If we will not do that, then why do we just expect that the reason women are successful is this?
Very true. Now, how we can support a woman is, how we can empower a woman is shut down the negativity around her. Like woman, जैसे हम जो हमारे task हैं, उसमें हम उनको help out कर सकते हैं. Then we can support them. Then we can donate for the women shelters and all. There छोटी-छोटी bits हैं जिनसे हम women empowerment की तरफ वुमेन को ही कि उसको एम्पावर होने की जरूरत है, उसको अवेयर कर सकते हैं और उसमें अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन दे सकते हैं.
At organization level, I believe that we should give them the projects fairly. We can create opportunities for female. fair salaries, and create a positive work culture where there's no bias. Okay, advice for men.
We always see this at the roadside, right? Men at work.
Okay, just kidding, just kidding. This is a serious advice for you. When we support women, incredible things happen. So the society will take a better shape when we all support women in whatever they do.
If
And-
all the people sitting here take note of that, backslide Malika, this one. When men supports a woman, incredible things happen. अगर हम इसको अपनी टैगलाइन सिर्फ एक हफ्ते के लिए बना लें तो शायद हम अपने आसपास की ही जो विमेन है उसको एम्पावर करने में बहुत हेल्प कर देंगे.
And advice for women?
That suits.
So we urge all the women to be empowered and to empower everyone around. Thank you so much for your time. Gunjan, you want to add something?
That's all. बहुत बोर कर लिया, बहुत है. अभी के लिए डोज बहुत है.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Architect Malika and Gunjan. It was very nice hearing from you. It actually related to our everyday life, all the problems. It was like telling each and every small thing which really come across while working. It's
Telling
like,
ourselves that yes, you are empowered, but at some
Yeah.
cost.
yeah, true, very true. Because I am also an architect and I'm working, so it was like just replay of all the activities being across.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why we
Thank you
say
very
that
much.
the devil should be scared when you wake up. For yourself.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, both of them, for just sharing these views with us.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
I would like just to add a few points. Yeah, I would like to just add few points. Yeah, it's very well presented. I mean, both of them have presented pretty well the cause for empowering women. But really, I like that. I mean, we should not be talking about empowering women now. Women is already empowered. If you see the around, I mean, if I see the world around me, the woman is already empowered. We are just making it feel them. We make them feel, yes, we're trying to make you empowered. Why should we do that? See, my point is, it's my personal view. Okay, why should we do this? We should not be just saying, okay, we should be empowering women. Women is already empowered because they are educated now. I mean, we are seeing the world around us. It's more, if you see the leadership, all levels, majorly in service sector, you will find many women are on the top of the echelons. If you all agree. So that's what I'm just trying to say. Old echelons, we used to say, yes, we should do this for the woman. Woman is weak or is weakened. And, I mean, if we stop using these words now, I think women can be easily compared with that of men. This is my personal view.
With additional responsibilities.
Absolutely. I tell you, all levels, if you see the bank like ICICI Bank, you will see all women are leading the bank all over, all across ICICI Bank. Major leadership roles are given to women.
I'm also part of that bank.
Oh, great.
As
That's
a
right.
Valor.
I'm retired from that bank of late.
Nice.
Yes. So
Yes,
that's what
I
I'm
think-
saying. I mean, women, yeah, that's true.
Yes,
Okay.
I would also like to add on that. I think you made I'm architect Mohita. I'm also architect by profession.
Right.
I think the suggestion in the end that you made that men, I think if you can go back to the slide, men should help and something better will happen. I think then the overall point of empowerment goes back when men support women. At one time you're
Incredible
saying
things happen.
about empowerment and then you're asking for support. That too in the end of your slide. I think it's not support that you want to talk about. You are asking for a bottom-up change in the overall attitude of men. not support.
Right.
So what
Yeah.
we are asking from men is to change their mindset, to change their attitudes, and not, we don't need their support. We want them to change their own mindset. So I think if you can just change that would be better.
Okay.
Understood. Thanks. We appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I
Yeah.
say something?
Yes, sir.
Sir, we will discuss at the end. Let's continue with the session, please, so that we have to respect the time limit also, sir. Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, now I just would like to call upon our next speaker, next presenter. She's architect Rita Minhas, and she has completed a graduation in architecture from IIA, and also Masters of City Planning from IIT Kharagpur. And now she's going to speak up on gender inclusive spatial planning. And so I request architect Rita Minhas to just continue with the presentation and make us aware about the topic. Rita ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I thank CV for giving me this chance. Share screen. Is my screen visible?
You are visible. Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
It is visible. Okay. Not visible for me. सो फ्रेंड्स, आज हम चर्चा करेंगे जेंडर इंक्लूसिव स्पेशल प्लानिंग के बारे में। जैसा कि हम सब जानते हैं, आज के दौर में विमेन हर फील्ड में बढ़ चढ़कर हिस्सा ले रहे हैं। ऐसा कोई फील्ड नहीं है जिसमें कि उनकी भागीदारी नहीं है। जैसा कि अभी हमने गुंजन मैम और मल्लिका मैम से भी सुना, हर फील्ड में वो बढ़ चढ़कर हिस्सा ले रहे हैं और आगे आ रहे हैं, लीड रोल्स में अपना रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं। चाहे वो स्पोर्ट्स हो, एस्ट्रोनॉमी हो, आर्किटेक्चर ले लीजिए, इंजीनियरिंग या फिर मैनेजमेंट, फाइनेंशियल फील्ड्स ले लीजिए, कोई भी, कल्पना चावला, मिताली राज, इंदिरा नुई, मेरी कॉम, दीपा करमारकर, साइना नेहवाल, सानिया मिर्जा आदि इन सब के नामों से अनभिज्ञ नहीं है। तो फिर क्यों आवश्यकता है हमें जेंडर इंक्लूसिव प्लानिंग की? कि जैसे जैसे विमेन वर्कफोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन बढ़ रहा है, जैसे जैसे विमेन घर से बाहर निकल के अर्बन सेटिंग में जा रही हैं, बहुत जरूरी हो जाता है कि वहां पर वो अपने आप को इंक्लूडेड फील करें, वहां पे वो अपने आप को एक मेहमान या एक बाहरी जीव की तरह फील ना करें, उसमें वो अपने आप को सेफ अनुभव करें। ज्यादातर ह्यूमन हिस्ट्री में हमने देखा है कि मेन और विमेन दोनों गाड़ी के दो पहियों की तरह इसको अपनी जो गृहस्थी है उसको, घर को चला रहे हैं। अगर मेन फिजिकली स्ट्रांग है तो विमेन हमेशा उनको वहाँ इमोशनल सपोर्ट देती हैं इन फॉर्म ऑफ मदर्स, वाइफ्स और सिस्टर्स, एंड वाइस वर्सा आल्सो। Gender safety has always been an issue since the times of Mahabharata and Ramayana. Although earlier women were...
Excuse me, ma'am, I think screen share नहीं हो पाया है।
स्क्रीन शेयर नहीं हुआ है।
Yes, बीच में शायद बंद हो गया है।
सर अब हुआ?
Yes, ma'am, now it is visible.
No.
Thank you, sorry for interruption.
Okay. ओके, सो आज की डेट में विमेन जो है वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा चैलेंजिंग रोल अपना रही हैं, कहीं ज्यादा घर से बाहर निकल करके, क्योंकि पहले तो वो घर में रहती थी और घर में ही रह करके सपोर्ट करती थी, पर आज की डेट में उनका रोल ज्यादा चैलेंजिंग हो गया है। वो उनको फैमिलीज को भी मैनेज करना पड़ रहा है और काम को भी उसी तरह से, जिस तरह से वो पहले सिर्फ अकेली घर में रह के काम को मैनेज करती थी। Now, what is the role of spatial planning? Spatial planning includes land use planning, urban regional transport and environmental planning, economic and community planning. Land use planning जिसमें कि आता है हमारा residential land use, commercial land use, industrial land use, ये सारे land uses आते हैं जहाँ पे वो provide करता है setting for government policy, shaping the way our towns and cities are designed. Planning policy tends to ignore the fact that women and men use public space very differently. Gender equality ensures that both men and women have equal access to opportunities, resources, and rewards towards promoting sustainable human and national development. Now, role of women in society across civilizations. किस तरह से रहा है? During ancient times, women have played important role within their homes. However, they were viewed differently in different communities. Women in Babylon had few personal rights and liberties, while Egyptians saw women as a source of happiness, giving women a more important role. And in Rome, they were supposed to raise children and take care of home. While India may works by ancient Indian grammarians like Patanjali and Katyayana suggest that women were educated in early Vedic period. Women could participate in war, gymnastics, public activities, decision-making, and education. Their importance extended beyond the home, and their education was mostly equal to men. Now, there have been three phases of feminism in India. First phase, beginning in the mid-19th century, initiated when European colonists began to speak out against evils of sati. Second phase, from 1915 to Indian independence, when Gandhiji incorporated women's movement into Quit India movement, and independent women's organizations began to emerge. And the third phase is the post-independence, जिसमें कि हम देख रहे हैं there has been to a large scale fair treatment of women in workforce and right to political parity. Now, if we talk about women in freedom struggle, Lakshmi Bai, Sarojini Naidu, Annie Besant, Bhikaji Kama, Lakshmi Saigal, Kittur Rani Chennamma, Chalkari Bai, Kasturba Gandhi, Aruna Asif Ali, Begum Hazrat Mahal, Savitri Bai Phule, and Nellie Sengupta. These are some of the names who were pioneers in the Indian freedom movement. Amongst all, women were equally active during pre-independence war. Some of the Indian freedom fighters, women's valor, mostly remembered like Rani Lakshmi Bai, जिनसे आने वाली generations ने बहुत बड़ा जो एक example set किया उन्होंने, और उनसे आने वाली generation की women ने प्रेरणा ली और फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल में पार्टिसिपेट किया. Now, talking about women in architecture and valuation, Indian architecture is being gracefully shaped by women of India since early 1930s. Notable names like Perin Jamshedji Mistry, Yuli Chaudhary, Praveena Mehta, Sheila Sri Prakash have been creating history in the field through their enterprising endeavors, relevant from pre-independent era to the modernist. With changing times and needs, the women of today are redefining an architect's role by contributing to more verticals than design. If we talk about valuation, women are actively participating in different fields, including valuation. A good number of women are becoming registered valuers under Companies Act, which is a very encouraging fact for all of us. Now, why is there need, coming back to the main topic, why is there need for gender inclusive planning? कि इसकी आवश्यकता क्यों है? Gender inclusive planning is important because it creates public spaces where all users have equal opportunity to be healthy, secure, and happy. It recognizes that if women and girls avoid using certain public spaces, because they do not feel safe there, these spaces become far more insecure for them. It promotes right to city and to citizenship for women and girls as a condition for equitable and sustainable cities and communities, and to promote safe public transit for women and girls. What is safe and inclusive city? for women. क्या होती है एक safe or inclusive city? A city where women and girls can enjoy public spaces and public life without fear of being assaulted, where violence is not exercised against them either in home or on street, where they are not discriminated against, and where their economic, social, political, and cultural rights are guaranteed, where they participate in making decisions, where the state guarantees human rights to all people without excluding women and girls, where local government and state take actions to provide attention, prevention, and punishment for violence against women and girls. A city where state and local government guarantee women's and girls access to justice. Some factors that impact the safety of women and girls in the city include poverty and socioeconomic status. Poor women often face heightened safety challenges related to their difficulty in accessing essential services. For many of them, especially homeless women, women vendors, domestic workers, the need to regularly access public spaces and public transport creates heightened vulnerability. Infrastructure. The availability of safe and clean public toilets for women promotes women's safety. Toilets that are dark and dirty with broken doors and no attendants are seldom used by women. Poorly lit areas pose a threat to safety. Walking on dark roads, unlit streets is something most women avoid. Additionally, the lack of street lighting in commercial areas makes it difficult for women to work late. In addition, lack of efficient and safe public transport can make it difficult for women to access the city. And usage of spaces and familiarity. The gender of people using a space affect women's safety. Jagori's research found that women in Delhi feel uncomfortable in male-dominated spaces such as cigarette shops, dhabas, taxi stands, liquor shops. Women not only hesitate to use these spaces, but may also even avoid going near them for fear of harassment. And societal attitudes are also there. Trivializing and normalizing the sexual harassment of women and girls as harmless eve-teasing contributes to women's safety. Further, women and girls are often blamed for inviting sexual harassment because of their clothing or behavior, which places the responsibility of ensuring their safety upon women and does not expose the patriarchal attitudes behind these notions. Now, planning and designing for women. This is the main area of focus in where we are focusing in this presentation. Planning and designing according to specific safety needs of women and girls should exhibit the following characteristics: easy access to and from the location, easy movement within the location, good lighting so that users can see and be seen, easy to read signs to help users find their way, clear, well-kept paths where users can easily see each other, general visibility of the entire space, free from hiding places where a person could wait unseen, including mixed uses, many places to hang out, work, play, eat, exercise, etc. for diverse user groups at different times of the day, provisions for different seasons, provision for young children and elderly, because women are often caretakers. They are often accompanied by old people. They are often accompanied by young children. So, example, in urban areas, this could mean low, wide sidewalks for strollers, wheelchairs, and walkers, and areas with slow moving traffic, access to clean, secure, easily accessible toilet facilities with space for changing children's diapers. UN Women is also making lots of efforts in this field. The priority areas for UN Women in India are expanding women's leadership and participation, enhancing women's economic empowerment, engaging women as global peace builders and mediators, and making gender equality central to national development planning and budgeting, ending violence against women and girls. Now, Jagori Awaken Women, which means Awaken Women, is a women's documentation training and communication center established in 1984. And it has done efforts in collaboration with UNIFEM, UN Habitat, along with Delhi government for safe city free of violence against women and girls. We all know, we are all aware that Mumbai and Kolkata are much safer than Delhi. Delhi has been designed in a very American way. Everything is oriented to accommodate the car. After dark, no part of Lutyens Delhi is safe for women, although in crowded areas of old Delhi city, things are far more secure. So Jagori did safety audits in multiple settings and groups, carried out jointly with local government representatives, and evaluated such that this tool is now internationally recognized as a best practice. These are three main principles which guide women's safety audits. Women are considered experts on their own environment and safety. Safety audits encourage local and context-specific solutions to issues of insecurity. And safety audits promote partnership and joint solutions between women and their local governments. Now, what are the benefits of safety audits? Changes in the physical environment to improve safety of women and community as a whole, changes in local programs and policies that enhance the promotion of safety of women and community in general, more skill and confidence for women who take part in these audits. And what is the process? The women's safety audit starts with a group of women. Unsafe places might, these women, they go along on a path or on a road, or on, they choose an area and they go along in that area, identifying unsafe spaces, which might include shopping center, parking lot, a pathway between residences, a water source, or public housing development. After safety audit group has chosen an unsafe space, they go together to that space and note the factors or characteristics that they think might make it unsafe. This is the way it is done. Parks, temple, university campus, all areas, cinema hall, all the areas are mapped. Residential areas, transit areas, university campus, all are mapped. A dark street is more prone to be a risky place. Installation of sufficient lights makes sends a sense of safety among women. Now, having shops rising from footpath or pavement, you have a feeling of safety because you feel there is activity on the edge. Delhi's shopping areas are designed with presumption that people will be driven to shopping areas, whereas only 15% of the population drive vehicles and 85% of the people walk. When foot activity increases, so does safety. More kiosks in area where people wait for their transportation, for instance, in order to ensure eyes on the street. So the changes that are done to the areas where mapping is done, they install CCTV cameras, basic infrastructure improvements like improving the pavements, improving the lighting, and improving toilets, and then permitting hawking platforms. Now, initiatives dedicated to safe cities and communities worldwide. One remarkable point I would like to state here, that in Colombia, 1999, Office of Mayor of Bogota declared March 8th as Women's Night. Since mid-1980s, European cities began to address this issue. These initiatives have replicated in Greater London Council, the city of Manchester, Toronto, and North American cities. UNIFEM and UN Habitat have promoted the implementation of a global program on safe cities for women and girls, which is to carry out strategic safe cities for women actions in different countries worldwide. in partnership with UN Habitat Delhi-based women organization Jagori, produced a large-scale survey on women's safety. Now, findings for transport planners in Western Europe and North America. Poorly considered land use zoning separates residential areas from employment locations with greater impact on women's mobility. अगर डिफरेंट लैंड यूज जोनिंग हो जाएगी, बिल्कुल ही अलग अलग कर दिए जाएंगे, मिक्स लैंड यूज नहीं होगा, तो इससे विमेन की मोबिलिटी के ऊपर बहुत इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है. Women make more complex journeys than men, often traveling to childcare, school, work, and shops. More than twice as many women as men are responsible for escorting children to school. 75% of the bus journeys are undertaken by women. Only 30% of women have access to use of car during daytime. Poor public transport and lack of caring facilities, shopping outlets near employment locations restrict women's access to the labor market. Women feel less safe than men being out alone after dark, especially in inner city and social housing complexes. Now, this is a housing project by and for women in Vienna, Austria. Frauenwerkstatt, Women Work City, which means Women Work City, a 357 unit complex made by women and completed in 1997. It was characterized by a woman's perspective at every level, from pram storage on every floor, wide stairwells to encourage neighborly interactions, to flexible flat layouts and high quality secondary rooms, to the height of the building, low enough to ensure eyes upon the street. The housing project was the first step to implement everyday experience and requirements of women on large scale. Special attention was given to the flat layouts and space allocation for individual rooms. Intention was to have even sized rooms which do not force tenants to adopt predetermined utilization. So this is the way it is going to help women decide upon the usage of the room. Another key objective of the model project is to stimulate the public interest in and visibility of women planners and architects. Now in the figure, we can see that there is a ramp going alongside the steps all through the staircase. 357 housing units were constructed along with other infrastructure facilities like a kindergarten, a daycare nursery with 4 groups, a doctor's surgery, a communication center, a police station, and shops. All these things were within the complex itself. Rooms to store bicycle and pram storage on every floor, and easily accessible laundry rooms were found on the roof, combined with common roof terrace. Here in the figure, we can see kitchens facing the kindergarten area and the play area. Only 4 units were allowed per story to avoid anonymity, and staircases were usable, pleasant places where tenants could spend time and communicate with each other. Open structured underground garage with natural lighting. Special attention was given to kitchens as central places of housework. They are all large, provide with sufficient daylight, and face the courtyards or the play streets. In another neighborhood, during 2002 to 2006, street lighting was improved in 26 identified areas in surveys as inducing anxiety. So they were lighted. Traffic lights were altered to prioritize pedestrians. Seating was installed in 9 new locations. More than 1 kilometer of pavement was widened, and 5 areas were made entirely barrier-free so as to better accommodate prams, wheelchair users, and elderly people. The link between wider pavement and benches and gender might be obscure, but for an elderly person, a well-placed bench might make the difference between participating in the city or remaining at home. Creating public spaces with features that enhance women's safety and feeling of safety detract from features that cause women's insecurity and feeling of insecurity. Safety planning and design also involves more than just the concrete physical features of a space. Safe public transport should ensure that they make multiple places and destinations for diverse purposes. Safe public transit for women and girls should include improvisation of non-motorized forms of transport also, that is well-maintained footpaths, pedestrian streets, well-lit sidewalks, bicycle lanes, etc. Women's safety is the single most important factor for better, smarter cities. If women do not feel safe, the city is unsafe. This means providing safety from home and all those places in between. Streets, parks, schools, neighborhoods, and other public spaces. It must be a continuum from door to door, day and night. It is unacceptable that millions of women, especially those living in poverty, have to be on their guard every waking hour when they venture outdoors anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita ma'am, for sharing such a presentation about planning. Thanks a lot for the information provided to us. Now we move upon for our next presentation, which is about prevention of sexual harassment of women at workplace. And this presentation will be given to us by architect Dolce from Data Architects. She's an architect and interior designer from Patiala, and architect Vishakha Gupta, advocate Vishakha Gupta. She has done her BA, LLB, LLM, and currently practicing in Punjab. And architect Amit Gupta as registered valuer and industrial consultant. So I just request upon architect Dolce ma'am and Vishakha ma'am to continue with the next presentation about prevention of sexual harassment of women at workplace.
Thank you so much. Good evening to all. First of all, I would like to introduce a woman to you. And as very well saying, I am a girl of modern times. I am not fearless, I am not powerless. I am Adi Shakti, I am Ambika. Here, myself, architect Dolce, and today I am going to speak about sexual harassment of women at workplaces. Now, what is workplace? A workplace includes all premises, including corporate office, head office, branch offices, and all other premises, location, establishments, institutions, units, site controlled directly or indirectly, the company where business of company is conducted. All other premises where employees of the company visit arising out of or during the course of their employment, including official events. Includes the transportation and accommodation, if any, provided by the company for employees arising out of or during the course of employment for commutation or residence purposes. Now, major point to discuss here is women's participation at work. So as this data says, 30.03% in rural areas and 15.44% in urban areas. Like while I was preparing this presentation, this particular slide took all my attention as why this much difference in rural and urban areas. This may be due to sexual harassment at workplace culture or maybe not. So harassment is major factor in workplace culture. So sexual harassment is very common at workplace. More than 52% women experience sexual harassment at workplace every day, in which 25% harassed without invitation and 20% experience sexual advances. But report rate is very less. Why? Why 80% thinks that outcome is very poor? Now you can say why outcome is poor? The result or justice may be delayed. As they say, delayed means denied. So, and 16% thinks that situation get worsened after they report. As for example, for me, 50% of harassed women does not get support from their own family. That might because family thinks that this might hurt their reputation or anything else. Now, what is harassment? Sexual harassment. Any unwelcome act or behavior which is sexual in nature. A subjective experience, impact, not the intent matters. Now, what this line says, impact, not the intent matter. Impact means the sexual harassment is not measured by from the doer perspective, but it is measured by the women which is being harassed by someone. So intent matters, no, impact matters, not intent matters. Now, sexual harassment includes physical contact, abusive sounds, making sexually colored remarks, stalking. Now, most people does not know that stalking does not mean only physical, but also includes following a woman or monitors her with use of internet or any other electronic means also includes in the stalking. Implied or explicit promise of a preferential treatment in her employment or threatening treatment. A lot of time we say that maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's just his nature or anyone's nature, or maybe all other, we are colleagues, so I should not overreact. But that's when you need to stop and think twice. No, this is also comes under the sexual harassment. And this is just small animation to show you the like this is physical touch, unwanted gestures, abusive messages, maybe commenting or display picture, anything. This all contains in the sexual harassment. All comes, emails. Now, what is at stake? Brand value, negative publicity, decreased morale and decreased efficiency of employees, loss of money for non-compliance of provisions of law. Now, I would like to invite Advocate Vishakha Gupta to share her insight on the law relating to the sexual harassment at workplaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Advocate Dolce. This is Vishakha Gupta. I am here to put my insights on the evolution of a law relating to a sexual harassment at workplace. Thank you, CV, for providing me this opportunity to share my views here. And I am here for the very first time, so I hope all you would cooperate with me. Like the scenario before 1997 and after 1997 is quite different. Before 1997, there was only a single legislation that deals with the sexual harassment only in a broader sense. That is the Indian Penal Code. The provisions are the Section 354 and Section 354 and the Section 509 that deals with the criminal assault of a woman to outrage women's modesty. But these provisions left the interpretation of the outraging women's modesty to the discretion of a police officer, which demands change. And in that particular year, the catalyst for the change of the scenario of sexual harassment, particularly at a workplace, was the 1990s brutal gang rape at a workplace of an NGO in the state of Rajasthan. In that year, for the very first time, workplace sexual harassment was recognized by the Honorable Supreme Court in the judgment of Vishakha versus State of Rajasthan. Honorable Court observed that there was not currently a legislation in place to protect women and to ensure a secure work environment for her. And this forced the Honorable Court to acknowledge the necessity for appropriate and a practical law to address sexual harassment as a result. Supreme Court in that particular judgment lays down the guidelines to be followed establishment in dealing with the complaint about sexual harassment at workplace, and the court stated that these guidelines were to be implemented until a legislation is passed to deal with the issue. But it's shocking that the POSH Act and the POSH regulations were passed 16 years after the Vishakha's decision. And now I would like to dig into the law, that how the law regarding the safety of a women against a sexual harassment evolved in India in past 2 decades. The POSH Act enacted on the lines of the Vishakha's judgment and the allied post judgments of the Supreme Court. This particular act lays down the general rule that women should not be sexually harassed. Under the POSH Act, the sexual harassment is defined broadly enough to include both overt and covert act behavior that may be expressed physically or sexually or mentally or verbally, even in writing. The primary characteristics that such this behavior apart is that the recipient does not want or welcome it anyhow. The other crucial aspect of this act is the creation of a grievance redressal forum, which is mandates for the employer to establish an internal committee at each office or a branch or to hear and address the complaint of a sexual harassment. But the minimum number of employees should be 10 to establish this committee. And this constitution of an internal committee is a mandatory for an employer. Otherwise, the consequences as per the act is severe for employer, that he may face the monetary penalty up to rupees 50,000. In case of a reputation, it might lead to a criminal complaint against him. Then I would like to add on some practical tips, which I personally think that must be followed for the constitution of an internal committee, such as the internal committee operation should be autonomous to exclude any possibility of a favoritism claims. And another one is IC committee members should be chosen from considering a number of criteria or factors such as they are approachable, committed, or sensitive and understanding. Other crucial aspect which need to be considered is that the internal committee should, to the greatest extent feasible, be made up of women who have received training on the POSH Act and its regulations and their duties and responsibilities. The another thing which is crucial is that, as we all know, that prevention is always better than a cure. So it is a duty of an employer to provide a safe working environment for women, or to treat sexual harassment as a misconduct under service rules or initiate action for a misconduct, or to provide assistance to the aggrieved women if she so chooses to file a complaint in relation to the offense under the Indian Penal Code or any other law for the time being in force. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Architect Amit.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Vishakha. I would like to continue from here. The most important thing about the POSH Act, it's a tool to empower a woman, only woman. It's not gender neutral. It provides a complete setup for a woman to complain the harassment, any kind of harassment she faces. So, what to do if you are facing an harassment? First, you don't have to ignore or let it go. Don't delay, because as per the law, as per the POSH Act, it should be reported in the stipulated time frame. And please learn to say no clearly and firmly. Speak out. Speaking out about sexual harassment is an effective tool in combating it. please don't ignore it. Report it to the ICC under the POSH Act, and the immediate inquiry will be conducted as per the law guidelines. Next, what are the remedies? As I have earlier said, an aggrieved woman employee may file a complaint with the ICC for redressal of her grievances. And it is the responsibility of ICC to send notice to the respondents within 7 working days. The respondent shall file his reply to the complainant along with supporting documents. Procedure for filing a complaint. See, a preferable time of 3 months is provided from the date of the incident to file a complaint. So it is the most crucial thing you have to note down, that you have to report the incident within the period of 3 months of the incident. The contact details should be very much prescribed, and the complaint copy should be, there should be 6 copies of the complaint minimum. And the complaint shall consist of the name of the respondent, date of and detail of the incident of the sexual harassment, name and detail of the witness, if any, along with the supporting documents. Who is eligible to file a complaint? See, a woman, aggrieved woman, can file herself, or if due to any physical incompatibility she is not able to file a complaint, or due to any mental incapacity, a person from her behalf can also file a complaint. And the third one, a person who has knowledge of the incident but with the written consent from the aggrieved woman can also file a complaint. When the aggrieved woman is dead, a complaint may be filed by any person who has knowledge of the incident with the written consent of her legal heirs. So these are the persons who are eligible to file a complaint. See, what is the procedure of the inquiry? First, the ICC tries for conciliation by during the inquiry, and the most important thing, no monetary settlements shall be made as a basis of conciliation. You can't conciliate on the behalf of monetary settlement. You can't say we are giving you 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees as a settlement due to your harassment. No. This should be a proper code of conduct inside a corporate sector or an office who comes under this act, for proper punishment or proper redressal of the inquiry or the complaint. And the most important thing, if any settlement is possible, ICC can go for that settlement. And if the settlement is done, no further inquiry shall be conducted by the ICC. Procedure of the inquiry. As I earlier said, the incident should be reported within the 90 working days. And ICC have also to investigate the complaint as early as possible, and ICC should follow principle of natural justice in all its proceedings. Confidentiality should be there unless required by the law, and the copy of the complaint to be given to respondents and the complainant both. And if there are any witnesses or any evidence, ICC should also take them into the consideration. There should be a proper hearing after the receiving of the complaint. And the most important things, all the employees of that office or that workplace have to cooperate to the ICC. what is going there, what they are also witnessing about the respondent. They have to cooperate to their full extent. See, ICC is acting like a internal judicial body for the complaint under POSH Act. But if still the woman feels that the inquiry conducted is not okay or is not as per the law or as not as per the code of conduct, there are still provisions in the IPC under various sections under which punishment under these offenses like sexual harassment, disrobe, modesty, outraging the modesty of the woman, stalking, insulting the woman are there. So you can also go for that. But there is also a provision to properly have a provision under the code of conduct whenever a malicious complaint or false evidence is provided by the reporter or the complainant. Appropriate disciplinary action, which may include termination of employment, engagement or relationship with the company as the case may be, shall be decided. See, the thing is, what can you do from, what are the things you should refrain from? Behavior that may offend or hurt people at your workplace. Behavior that cause harassment to any woman employee at your workplace. Behavior that may be interpreted by another as sexual harassment. Behavior that may support sexual harassment in any manner. Producing any false evidence of sexual harassment. Filing or supporting any malicious or false complaint. What can you do? Be professional all the time. Set a positive example. Think before making personal comments. Be supportive of people who wish to talk about being sexually harassed. Direct them to the appropriate persons. Hold the harasser accountable for his actions. Don't make excuses for him. Demand that the harassment should be stopped. Report sexual harassment to responsible person in the organization. In the last, I want to conclude. Say no to sexual harassment. Let's make this earth a safe and healthy workplace. Thanks to all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Amit, Vishakha, and Dolce for sharing the views on POSH Act. Now, without any further delay, we will move on to next topic, sustainable housing for sustainable cities, the new urban agenda. And this presentation will be presented to us by architect Madhu Garg, who is founder and CEO of Creative Consortium, MDC Panchakula. So I request upon architect Madhu ma'am to just take upon the presentation, to start the presentation and share our views.
Good evening, everyone. I'm speaking on behalf of architect Madhu Garg. I'm her daughter. Unfortunately, she is traveling. She is in Australia and her timeline was not matching. She is taking a plane as of now. So I'm going to present her presentation to you. I'm going to share my screen now. Is my screen shared?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Thank you. Okay, so the topic for the talk today is sustainable housing for sustainable cities, the new urban agenda. Basically, architect Madhu Garg, she is pioneer as a woman architect doing multiple multi-crore projects pan India. this would have been a great platform for her to today talk to you, but unfortunately she is traveling and she could not talk to you. She has created a niche. We had talks earlier on how it is difficult for a woman to create a niche for herself. But she, being a lady architect, and she started in the year 1990, she made a niche for herself, standing. At that time, there were very few lady architects who were really stepping into the stream, and that too on a larger scale. And I would very proudly say that she has created a great niche for herself. She has created multiple multi-crore projects, which are not just one building. They are group housings, residential colonies, and that too for very prominent government sectors like rights, railway authorities, then there is Gale, and so on. So she has worked with big government sectors. So through her knowledge, she would like to share how through sustainable design, we can build up sustainable cities. And we all know in today's time, that is the need of the hour, and we have to build more sustainable if we have to give our future generations the life that we have already had and we are enjoying right now. So the presentation will flow through these all topics. The first topic would be, we'll be discussing on the changing trends in architecture, and more specifically in the northern part, and to the Tri-City area, Chandigarh and its extended towns. Then we'll be discussing how Creative Consortium was pioneer in multi-group housing designs. We were the first one to bring housing concept, vertical housing to Chandigarh and its satellite towns. Then why there is a need for sustainable housing. Then we'll share our approach of how we do with sustainable designs. We have a 3-step planning for sustainable design. And we'll be then sharing some prestigious projects which have been accomplished by Creative Consortium. So to start, Mahatma Gandhi has said, change is inevitable. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. And we stand by it. Time is not still, and so is the nature. Nature won't stand still. In never-ending efforts to create a balance, nature will find its way to remind humans that they are not powerful. If we don't accept the change, the nature will change us. So understanding how this Chandigarh Tri-City has changed from 1990 to 2021, 23. So before 1990, who have lived in Chandigarh would know that we had more of a plotted development at that time. We had a very horizontal city skyline. Maximum, we were just going 1 or 2 story. And we were using vernacular architecture methods with using local materials, which was more brick and concrete. And there was no scarcity of natural resources at that time. Between 1995 to 2000, there was a sudden increase in population and there was more demand for urban living. We had new building bylaws, and the government was also encouraging the concept of vertical housing because we needed more houses to for the increasing demand. So the government came up with new bylaws and they gave permission for more vertical housing. But at that time also, we still had only the conventional methods of construction. So we only had that brick and concrete, and we were finding ways of how we can build for high-rise structures like 4 or 5-story group housing. By 2001 to 2010, there was liberalization, globalization, and we know with so much of influx of privatization, the lifestyle of people in the Tri-City, that was also changing. And we were looking at the designs from more of a functional aspect, we were looking into the passive design elements, and we were looking for more modern methods of construction. In the past decade, we have seen a huge scarcity of natural resources, and we have felt a strong need that we need to go more sustainable in the housing. Housing as a sector, or the residential or the building stock as a sector, it consumes almost like 40% of the overall natural resources. And that is why it is very important for all the people who are associated with the sector, that we have to reduce that demand, and we have to optimize the supply, and we have to manage around renewable resources. So Creative Consortium, it stands tall, and it is recognized as pioneer in multi-group housing projects pan-India for giving most functional, aesthetically pleasing, cost-effective, and environmentally sensitive design. Creative Consortium makes every effort to design these residential projects as spacious, self-contained, self-sustainable, and eco-friendly environment, which are well integrated into the recreational entertainments and as well as infrastructure needs. They are comfortable to both who are living in them, for the people who are habiting their spaces, as well as for the environment. We not only build houses, we are building cities. So if we look at the global scenario of housing demand, these numbers are based on the census and other research data. So the slum and informal settlements, almost 2.4 billion are still wanting a proper habitable space. In the affordable sector, we are still looking for a deficiency of 440 million affordable houses. Whatever housing stock we have, they are not designed on sustainable manners, and there is lack of planning for 65 to 70% of the city surface residential use. And it is portrayed that there is a increased housing demand to the tune of 1.6 billion in the years to come. So it means that the demand is increasing, and we have to look into ways of making this segment more environmental friendly. And how, in an urban settlement, we have more paved areas, we have more buildings, roads, and everything is paved. The greenery is quite less. And because of that, all the heat that we get from the sun is absorbed by the building sector and the surroundings, and there is no way to let go of that heat. And that is why that urban areas, they are approximately 2 to 3 degrees, or even nowadays 4 degrees higher than the surrounding suburban areas. And this effect is called heat island effect. And this, because the urban areas are increasing, this is causing the global warming. So universal impact of sustainable housing on urban development. If we provide for more sustainable housing, we are providing for improved public health. So it is not just for the environment that we are doing, we are also doing it for our own good. If we are providing houses which are more comfortable, then obviously it will impact the human wellness and comfort, and that will improve the overall public health. It obviously increase the environmental sustainability. It provides for that. That is the main goal. It is also economically a good investment on return, because if we design a building stock on sustainable manners, where we are using or harvesting natural resources, and we are reducing our energy demands, obviously in the life cycle cost, they come down, and it's saved penny is a penny earned. And then we also reduces the risk reduction, like if we are making it more earthquake prone, and we are also providing opportunities on socio-economic empowerment and improved safety and security. So how we follow sustainable design? We have a 3-step planning to it. the most important step to a sustainable design is first to reduce your demand. If I need, for example, 100 units of energy to run my building, if through design, I can reduce that 100 units to 70 or 40 or 50, then it means that I'm not using the rest of the energy, and it means I'm not relying on the fossil fuels, and in a way we are saving the environment. So first and the foremost step is that we try to reduce the demands, and that we can do through passive architecture, which is using design elements where we reduce the demand for energy. Basically everything that we use in the building is in form of energy. It's not just the AC and lighting. In fact, when we are using materials, they also have a energy component to it. So how we can reduce the wastage of materials and how we can do that is all part of reducing the overall demand of a building. Then is how to optimize the supply. So now I have reduced the demand from 100 to say, let's say 70. Then I am just using 70 units of energy now. So how do I optimize that? So if I have more energy efficient features in my building, for example, my air conditioning system has been installed, which is using less energy, then I'm saving. So out of 70, now my air conditioning systems are working better. My lighting, they are more LED lights, so they are consuming less energy. My water faucets, they are sensor based, so they're using less water. So in a way, I'm also optimizing what I am having. So if I'm reducing the demands, then I'm also optimizing my supply. And third and the foremost is to harvest renewable resources. So in the building nowadays, we are using solar power. We are also finding new ways to harvest wind power in the high-rise buildings. And we are using green terraces, and we are trying to reduce the overall exposed surfaces through planning. So we'll go step by step, reduce the demand of natural resources. No use of scarce building material. We are not using building materials which are made from natural resources and which can become scarce. We are using alternate materials which are basically industrial waste, and in a way we are using industrial waste or the byproducts as the building elements. They are now in different forms: ACC blocks, hollow concrete blocks, fly ash bricks, GRFC panels, puff panels, agrocrete blocks, and so on. We are also using passive solar architectural design elements. It is all architects would understand, if we orient the building properly in a proper orientation, then we can obviously reduce the heat gain of the building. We know west is quite harsh and north has more of a daylight factors. And if we are able to design the building on orientation, and then we are able to provide more natural ventilation, natural daylights, then obviously we don't need to be relying on energy resources. Then also increasing the open and green spaces. See, as I have explained earlier in this slide, the problem that we are having in the city is that we don't have green spaces. The plants and the trees, they play a very important role in the overall ecosystem. They bring in habitats, they reduce the overall ambient temperature, and they also reduces the temperature, and they bring in more moisture. And obviously it also promotes human wellness. If you are close to nature, you experience more biophilic contentment, and that's also one of a very important factor in human well-being. So we try to plan with more green spaces and spaces which are more close to the visual contact as well. Then second point was optimize the supply. So we optimize the supply by, for example, in the construction, we are using RMCs. Then in the building services, we are using building management systems. So through proper management, we are able to see where, like, we have different zones. We can monitor which zone we want to condition, we don't want to condition, where we want lighting and not. So using these smart systems, we are able to reduce the unnecessary wastage of resources. Like, for example, in street lighting, we have this automated lighting systems which will light up on a given set timings. We are using it even in the public streets now. Then we have intelligent HVAC systems. And we also have the overall structure system like My1 shuttering. By using My1 shuttering, we are able to reduce the material wastages. So as I explained earlier, material is also carrying energy factor to it. And then the third step is recycle, reharvest, regenerate the renewable resources. So every building, it produces sewerage. So we have a STP plant where the sewerage water is treated, and then it is used for second grade water purposes like watering the plants, car wash, dry wash, and we are not using drinkable water for that. Then it's mandatory to do rainwater harvesting now. Even government has made it mandatory. So whatever rainwater is collected, we try to recharge our groundwater. And if surplus is there, we also use it for irrigation purposes. Then we harvest wind resources. It is especially beneficial in high-rise buildings. Solar is a very common factor now. We are harvesting solar resource for energy as well as for water heating. And this is also picking up geothermal energy, that is using the energy from the ground. So Earth is a very savior of energy. So if it is a very cold environment, if you dig down, it is quite warm. But if it's a very hot environment, if you dig down, it's cold. So we use the energy which is in the earth by using cool pipes which go down in the mud, and we take that coolness or hotness to condition our spaces. So I'll just run through the projects quickly. This was the one of the previous project in 1996, Mangal Jyoti housing project. As you see, it was one of the starting projects, and earlier we were just going 4 to 5 story houses, stilt plus 5 story. The stilt was used for multi-purpose things, and they were central green spaces. Punjab IS Officer Cooperative Society Sector 20 Panchkula, Mahalekhakar Cooperative Society Sector 20 Panchkula. So if you would see, we try to plan around the green spaces. Every effort we make to kind of differentiate or segregate the vehicular planning from the pedestrian planning. So if you would look in this site layout, you can easily walk from one block to the other without crossing the road. So it means if your children are playing in the playground, there's no tension that there's some car coming nearby, and that's what the group housing should have. And then obviously there should be sit out spaces next to it, and there are also big open green parks with it. This is AWHO. Site setting was important in this. The site was very challenging. As you can see, it's not a very rectangular site, which could have made our design journey simpler, but it was having many narrow points and cuts and that. So the site was very challenging. Then the unit planning was also done to bring in the light and natural ventilation. There is sharing of open spaces and different hierarchies. If you can see, the buildings were of different heights in the lower picture here, and then you get views from different heights. So we also maintain hierarchy in heights. This is Orbit Apartment Zirakpur. Again, we focused on creating interactive open spaces. There was a distinction between vehicular and pedestrian movement. And for this particular housing, to bring, see, another element of human connection is if we are able to connect it with the traditional architectural language, that also speaks very well and helps to create more human connection with the building masses. This is Palm Code Zirakpur 2006. Again, more focus on climate responsiveness. More than 50% of the site area was left open for green spaces, and our entire parking was taken into the basement, and we provided 100% basement parking for this project. And if you can see in the picture above, the building blocks, they are all facing the central park, which has all the children plays and stuff. And from every house, you can look into that green space, and it's a very introverted kind of green planning. Whistler Heights, Mohali, 2008. Silver City Heights, Zirakpur. IRWO, Indian Railway Welfare Organization, Sector 10, Sonipat. It was the residential colony that she had done. There are different segments, 3 BHK, 2 BHK, 4 BHK. And as you can see, we have planned around greenery, giving green pockets to each and every house. Every house has a view to the greenery. And a large continuous green lung for social interaction, recreation, and visual respite. And placemaking is provided within the complex. Besides designing for functional utilities, the greater challenge was structure, services, and infrastructure. So for this IRWO project, this was one of the high-rise building projects. It was more than 18-story. And so obviously, when you go more vertical, you need to focus more on the structure part of it. And also the services, it becomes challenging. And then how to provide for, if the number of units have increased per square foot in a given area, then how do you provide for the right infrastructure for that? This is again one of more than 18-story high Mona Green, Zirakpur. Again, verticality plays different challenges. We need to how to bring in the human scale, because we are losing the contact with the ground. So as you go more vertical, then the concept of bringing human scale and connection to the green spaces become much more challenging. So in this project here, if you would see, the main focus was first on the unit design and affordability. We wanted to place the function first and foremost. Community spaces and sense of belonging was the main content or the aim for this project. This is a National Institute of Biostress Management in Raipur. Again, it is designed for their research labs, academic blocks, and so on. So the rightmost was their academic blocks, and the left side was their entire residential colony. The very important other features were there, like we have already discussed, but the main important feature of this project was strong water management. See, this because it was it had more open spaces, as you can see the green part here. That was because they wanted fields, agriculture fields, where they were doing this research on those biotic plants. So it means when you have more surface area, which is open and which is porous, and there is in Raipur, there is a lot of rainfall as well. So we need to manage so much of water that is falling on the ground. And for that purpose, we did a complete stormwater management for this area. The entire rainwater, when it comes first, it goes into the rain gutter, then it flows through bioswales, and through that, it forms a natural pond, and then through the pond, it kind of recharges the groundwater again. So this was a very classical example of how we can use water and use it as an element of aesthetic, as well as we are giving back to the nature, and we are also making use of a natural resource. So this is vertical housing in Srinagar. Here we had more focus on the local elements of design and architecture. Sloping roofs were required because of the climatic conditions. Then the challenge was to plan for the cold environment. This is Homi Baba Cancer Hospital in Mullapur. So if you would see here, the balconies and terraces have been planned in a way to give more human scale to it. So they are staggered and they are not just in a line, and they have their green pockets next to them. So to kind of bring the ground vertically up as well. And this is steel strip housing in Derabasi. This is almost complete, and you can also hear their advertisement on radio. This is SSL Highway Towers, Derabasi. Again, we use all the terraces as green terraces, so that the community spaces which cannot go on the ground can also go on the terrace. Unfortunately, I don't have the walkthrough for this one, but it shows how the terraces and the green public spaces have been provided within the society itself. So this is the central green space that has been provided, and it is next to a club. So once you are living in this complex, you will be in a very safe and close environment. Orchard Green, Sector 115, Mohali. So this is the My1 shuttering that we are using for this project. This is something, again, it's going to be the next big thing. And using this shuttering, you increase the time, you reduce the time factor, and you save on the cost factor. And obviously, if you're able to get a building ready in a time, 1/3 of the original time, you are able to sell that product sooner in the market, and you get much better returns on your investment. So, and obviously I've already discussed, by using this My1 shuttering, you're not wasting on resources. So wherever you want, you're just pouring that, and it's a in situ pre-casted mechanism. This is a group housing for Chandigarh Housing Board, and this is in Chandigarh. Again, you would see roof terraces, pockets, and stormwater management, unit design, lighting, daylighting, ventilation. So this is how we have approached most of the housing complexes. And if you would, and it gives us a lot of delight. So if we come across any resident of one of our completed projects, they really appreciate the design. Even if it is after 10 years, 20 years, they come to us and say, this is one of the comfortable house that I have been living into. And that is the biggest achievement. I think she would have mentioned it to you, that you can get once the user or the end person, he comes and says that I find this house very comfortable, and it has given me proper lighting, and I feel very comfortable. There's natural ventilation. In fact, my room sizes are quite good. And then that even the developers, they have appreciated, and that is why they have associated with us, because we are able to give a much more functional and a high efficiency design in the given floor plate scenarios. This is housing in Hyderabad. It's a 25-story housing, and then again we are bringing in element of human scale by staggering and giving green terraces which overlook, and you are part and parcel there. And thank you so much. If anybody has any question, I can entertain that. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any
Yeah.
other question, or I can just?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
On behalf of Madhu ma'am for sharing this lovely presentation.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Now I again request you to continue on your part of presentation. That's elements of ionic architecture, which is experiencing the award-winning IT orbit building through lens of its creator, and which will help us in understanding the role of design in building asset valuation. So I request you, Mohita ma'am, to again continue on your part of presentation. And
Thank you.
thanks
Thank you.
for-
Good evening, everyone. I'm again architect Mohita Garg, the registered valuer. And thank you so much for having me here today to speak with you all today and share my views. Today, I'm going to speak on this topic, what makes iconic architecture. And I'm going to discuss this through an award-winning building, which is an IT building in Mohali. And through that, I would like to develop an understanding that how the design or what role the design plays in the overall building valuation. So just a brief introduction to this project. This project is it's a landmark building by the name of Orbit IT Tower in Mohali. Is my screen not shared now? Is my screen shared?
Yeah, it's shared.
Okay, so this is a landmark building by the name of Orbit IT building in Mohali. It was designed for client, a distinguished developer, Mr. P.S. Grewal of Orbit Private Limited. It is designed by me and it has won multiple awards on different platforms. This building mesmerizes its spectators by its striking dynamic and rhythmic facade. But the design is not just superficial. It's not just a very aesthetic design. Actually, this design is produce of functionality. That is to say, the function is the priormost part of this designing, and the form has followed through the function. So we all are registered valuers here, and I would like to put across a question that when we are doing a valuation of a building, so what are the different factors that play a role in the building valuation? We know different approaches that we use for evaluating a building, market approach, sales approach, and so on. But what are the key factors that form the part of that? We all have studied the course. We know location. So first and foremost, obviously, there is location. Then we can say neighborhood, proximity to public transport, connectivity. Then we know all the list of factors. We have been applying that. But my question to you is, do you also consider design elements and features in that? If the building is really designed well, if it's a very functional building, do we give more value to that building? Does it mean that it is much more superior to the same building if there are two buildings who have the same parameters? They are located at a site which has almost the same parameters, but this building is designed really well. It is very functional. The end user is very happy. The developer is very happy. It is attracting a lot of tenants, and there is an increased market demand. Will this building stand at the same platform as the other building? I think what we are trying to bring a case is the design element plays a very important role in the asset value as an asset value parameter. Design elements are those features and characteristics which differentiate the one building from the other. And in our present or the current financial practices of real estate valuation, these factors are entirely dismissed and overlooked. It may be because that we don't have the right means to calculate the value for these features, or because of the limited knowledge of this design discipline. But to me, by omitting all these factors from the asset valuation, we have missed an opportunity to understand the extent to which the actual building design features can impact the property value of a given asset. So I'm taking this case study today. This is this Orbit IT building in Mohali. It is completed in the year 2021 with the total project cost of 14 crores. It's located in Mohali, total built up area around 70,000 square feet. And it's for around 400 occupants. And its main function is it's an IT building. This building has won multiple awards and recognitions. It has won Indian Concrete Institute Most Outstanding Concrete Structure Award 2021 in the office building design category. It won IIA's Architectural Excellence Recognition Award for Best Commercial Office Design in the year 2022. For this project, I was even shortlisted as Wade Asia's Young Emerging Architect in the Most Innovative Project in 2018 at national level. At the time, the building was under construction. So in all the platforms, this project was acknowledged as a masterpiece, a true excellence, chiseled into a perfect state through vision, dedication, and determination. The multi-faceted jury accredited this building as a design innovation for better future and recognized it as a piece of excellence. So how does design features contribute to the building value? So if anybody is interested to understand how the design features can be valued, there's a very good research which has been done by Helena, Minko, Andrea, and Yusheng on the value of design in real estate asset pricing. You can go through them. They have tried to come up with the framework of giving a value to design elements, and they are trying to make a case of how different things can affect the asset value. So if anybody is interested, they can go through this. So design interventions are interventions which are made by architect to differentiate the spatial planning in a building in response to a regulatory standard. So see, for a given plot, there is some regulatory bylaws, and as a designer or as an architect, my main thing is to give them a best design within the bylaws and still being able to play a key role in determining a good asset value in addition to the other factors. So when I am doing something, I have two roles to play. I have a role of a valuer where I through building evaluation models and through our studies and through our resources, we know how a given factor affects the overall end result. So when I'm taking up a project, we are doing feasibility studies and all, we are using the methods of valuation of understanding how the site has potential. But when I'm designing the building, I'm also looking at as an architectural designer, I am giving more consideration to the qualitative and tactile elements in architectural design, such as materiality, geometry, daylight, spatial flexibility, functionality, regulatory bylaws, and above all, aesthetic needs. I think in the previous presentation also what we were discussing was how through design we are able to achieve much more sustainable and habitable, comfortable spaces. And I think we as a valuers, we need to also bring in through some framework of understanding that we need to bring the design element of the building as well as functionality into the evaluation component. So going back to the case study, when we started this, the design aim was first to obviously provide for a very functional design. We wanted that the building should be such that it's because it's an IT building, anybody is able to rent out the space. So from the developer point of view, the requirements were obviously, as a developer, he would like to maximize his design efficiency. It means the net saleable area to the total area of construction should be more. It means he is able to rent out more. But how do we do that? By proper service plannings. If the lift code and the service code have been planned in a way, it not only provides for higher design efficiency, it also caters to the flexibility in dividing the floor plate into a smaller segment. So this design, it had flexibility of being able to cater to big tenants as well as small tenants. It had the plug and play concept. And secondly, the developer wanted this building to stand iconic so that it is able to attract premium IT companies. And third and the foremost, the client wanted the building to be sustainable and environmentally conscious building, and to provide for the both environment and human well-being. So this was the form that was given to them. And these are the prominent design features of this building. It's a functional design. The function, it functions very well for the function it has been designed for. It's an IT building. The plate is very adaptable and flexible, and it allows for integration of system approach, and it is flexible enough to provide, as I said, plate flexibility for different tenant sizes. It has a high design efficiency of 85 to 90%. It means around 90% of the floor plate was usable space, and only 10% was going into the services and common areas. It's a very climatically responsive and sustainable building design. And for this design, I have created a multi-layered, multifunctional facade. I derive my inspiration from nature, and if you would look at nature, all the natural systems, any system in the nature, if you would see, they are not very simple. They are very dynamic. They're very complex. You look at your human body; it's very complex system. You look at any plant, any animal, or anything. It's a very complex system, and that is what I feel. We have to design our building components on the lines of nature, and they cannot be simplistic, they cannot be very static, they have to be very complex and diverse, and they have to have the flexibility of changing with time. And that is where I feel this design has worked well. In nature, I would just like to read from here. In nature, the systems are very interdependent, multi-layered, multifunctional, with complex diversity, which imparts flexibility. Because of that diversity, it gives them flexibility, adaptability, and hence true sustainability. That is why the systems in nature, they are able to sustain, and they create self-balance. So if we look at the site was very linear, and the building footprint was to the ratio of 1:4. So it means the front was just 50 feet and the side was around 150 feet or something. So how do you design for a very linear box? So because to complete the FAR, we were going 6-story. So if you would imagine, if I just go 6-story on this box, it would have just become a rectangular matchbox kind of a thing, very linear thing. Though I would have been able to achieve design efficiency in that rectangular box as well. But what about the other factors? So one of the main challenges for me was to reduce the impact of verticality and provide some element of human scale. And how do we do that? By giving it a very dynamic and rhythmic facade, where the front edges of the building are designed to give the effect of a 3-dimensional volume, pulling the side facades as the front facade, and hence a striking form. Basically, if you have a narrow front, so by using these forms which are flowing and curvilinear, when you see this building, you are actually seeing the entire sides as a part of the front, and that is where you don't find this building quite linear and a very boxy kind of a building. This is a prototype of very flexible and adaptable functional plan. It's an adaptable architecture. Basically, it was done on integration of different grids. As I told you, following the natural systems design, also they have multiple grids. There is a design grid. Design grid is the grid which comes from your given building footprint. So what grid will work on that given building footprint? Then there is a parking grid or a vehicular grid. कौन सी grid है जिस पे you are able to park maximum cars in the given area. Then there is a planning grid, which is a grid which functions well for the given function of the building. For example, this building is a IT building, so there is a grid which works well for the workstations and cabins and so on. So by understanding all that, these are the different floor plans. So by understanding all those grids, this is the diagram. So there was a synthesis that was done among these all grids together, and then one grid was selected which functions well for all other grids, and which in this case was 50 feet by 25 feet. And this grid works well for the parking, for the workstation. As you know, workstation is 5 feet, and it also works well with the cabins, providing for corridors and stuff. So by doing that, what was the end result? The flow plate was very functional. So see, I can say that I have 100 units of a flow plate, and then I tell the developer 90 units you can use for sailing. But then when the end tenant comes, is he able to use that 90 units? Or I'm just giving a very flowery or a very non-functional flow plate to them, and when they put their workstation, they find that out of 90, at least 70 was the right figure that was used, and 20 was again got wasted. So the design efficiency also means whether there was the right flexibility and adaptability for that design, whether it was on the given functional grid for that. So going back to the plans, these are the plans. The stilt was used for parking. There's 100% basement. And there is also entrance lobby on the ground stilt level. This is the basement plan. Double height for basement was used, and using stackers, the parking was completed for the required number of cars. To reduce the vertical element, the front was cut. You see one square in the front was taken away for the first 3 floors. And the rest is a column-free office layout plan. There's no column that comes in between. And the grid again is 25 feet by 50 feet, which is a multiple of 5, and it functions well for all office planning. On the upper floors, again, the terraces were cut out. Again, those concepts of bringing the green vertically up. Once we go higher, we need to get the ground up with the floor plates. This is the front elevation. This is the side elevation sections. So it's a repetition. It's a high efficiency design. It provides maximum flexibility for all type of office interior planning. The grids have been designed in a way where office interior spaces can come out column free. It's a climatically responsive design, and it is one of a aesthetically pleasing and structurally stable design. So many innovative, cost-effective structural design systems were used. Even the facade, using principles of modularization, standardization, repetition, and prefabrication, material wastage was reduced and time and cost efficiencies were achieved. We follow the same sustainable approach, 3-step planning. It's that we follow as a office thing. We reduce the demand. So for this, we reduce the demand by maximizing the daylight and reducing the heat gain of the building. How do we maximize the daylight? By providing for orientation, north light, using reflective ceilings and interior office planning. Heat gain by proper orientation, double insulated glass, creation of large green open areas, creation of green terraces, use of pergolas, and use of water bodies. We optimize supply by using building management system, design efficient air conditioning system, program logic controller for switching on between natural and mechanical means of air conditioning, indirect office ceiling lighting, use of LEDs, low flush WCs, and so on. We harvest renewable resources using building integrated photovoltaics, solar water heaters, grey water recycling, and rainwater harvesting. So these are some of the structural drawings that was followed. But for achieving this, the structural design was quite challenging. These are some of the photographs from the time of construction. I think there is going to come. Another important part of this project was multi-layered, multifunctional facades. So the facade is not just one single layer, it has multiple layers to it, and each layer is performing different functions. So one is the structural thing, then we have a glazing to it, then we have the louvers which cut down the sun and but lets in the daylight, and then we also have these curvilinear patterns which works on aesthetics. So these are another photographs from time of construction. So as I told, the structural system was quite challenging. You see, to get this thing of reducing the volume in the front, and if this would have been a rectangular box, see how much empowering that building would be and how much smaller the person would have felt. And then obviously there would have been no intimate connection of a person with this building. So, but to get that, I have cut down the mass, and the upper part is cantilevered. 3 stories are being cantilevered from the floor, so from the grid, and so it was quite challenging to do it structurally. These are more photographs of this one. And the foremost important thing was aesthetical freedom. Though the entire design planning was focused more on the functional, but at the same time, I wanted a form which kind of behaves in a free will. I didn't want that the structure should dominate the form, and that is why you would see the form, it breaks free from the underlying structures, and it is showcasing its free will, and it has a very rhythmic floating facades which creates perfect balance and as well as movement, and that is where the spectators, they are drawn to its beauty. Quality controls were there, and we had an integrated team from the client, contractor, and the architect side. Innovations, I've explained, but this is one of the innovation for which this building has been appreciated. It's a very flexible and adaptable floor plate, and through integration of grids, the ideal grid which works well for any IT function, as well as the supporting ancillary services like parking and planning. This was really appreciated, and it is based on the lines of natural systems. And then the second was multi-layered, multifunctional facades. By doing this multi-layered facades, we reduce the heat gain of the building while maximizing the natural daylight. It also enhances natural view to outside greenery, creating human intrinsic biophilic need, health, and wellness. And above all, it forms a dynamic, iconic form. So just a brief introduction to me. I have done my architecture from Chandigarh College of Architecture in the year 2007. And I've done my master's in integrated sustainable design in 2013 from Singapore, National University of Singapore. And through these years, my approach to design has been more on sustainable, biophilic, and human-centric designs. And today, my main purpose of discussing this building was to set an example of how, if we focus, how the valuation should also focus on the design and featured elements of a building. This building was completed in 2021, and in the past 1.5 years or so, even we have worked with the developer. He's very happy actually this project is in a industrial area in Mohali, where all the industrial plots have been converted to IT buildings, and this is not just one building there are multiple IT buildings in that surrounding areas. But most of the developers, they are struggling to get the tenants, and our client, he was very happy, and he was so contented, and he said that I was able to get my building fully tenanted in just few months of starting the project. And this is all thanks to the design and the functional part of it. And even the tenants, they are coming and saying that the design is very functional, and for that reason big companies have have become tenants into this project. So this building is an example that function and aesthetics can contribute to the success of the project, both to the end users as well as to in its financial valuation. Both to the end users as well as to its financial evaluation to the developer. Asset valuation approaches hence needs to be broadened to include design parameters that contribute more positively and leads to overall success and market demands. So here I would like to conclude my presentation. If there is any points or questions, I can obviously address that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
you
you.
so much for experiencing this building with you. It was very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we are open to doubt. Thank you very much, Mohita ma'am. Thank you very much. And we are open to any doubt related to this session. Please unmute yourself. And if you're having any doubt, please unmute yourself and ask.
No doubts, sir. No doubts per se. But this walkthrough was such an enriching experience. I'm sure creating all this would have been a wonderful experience. It would have taken you at least a couple of years to really visualize and give it shape on paper as well, madam.
Yes, sir, it's absolutely true. I would say that the research on it, because obviously it's not something that you can do overnight. The research on it, I had already done in my time of thesis. I never knew that I'll be doing that project now on the ground. So when this opportunity came to me, I knew how I had to start. I already had done a lot of background study back in my thesis time. And then is how I had to implement that, whatever knowledge I had gained, whatever research I had done into an actual example. And this site, nevertheless, was very challenging. As I explained during the presentation, it was a very, very linear thing. And this site was actually given to me by the client as a challenge. He had already gone to a few architects, and then he came to me and he said, Mohita, I'm going to give you as a challenge. I need something which I can really find worth praising. And the first time I gave him the concept, he was on board, and he was very happy with the design. And even if you would meet him today, he'll be he's the most contented person, because I think that's what the role of design is. And that is how you can actually measure your success in a way that if the end user or the client, they are happy and they feel content about what they have already got, that is something which I think in valuation also we should be able to value that. If something which is creating a market demand should also be valued. So how we can do that? And that is where I would like to start this discussion, and how we can take steps forward to bring that element into our valuation today.
Good evening, madam.
Hello, sir.
Madam, good evening.
Hanji sir, good evening.
Madam, excellent, ultimate, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We will be going to construct a orphanage house at Indore from our charitable trust, and will take your help.
Sure, sir. Thank you. I will be very obliged, sir. Thank you.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Madam, you have told that in valuation we should take the weightage of design element, but how much we can take? You have any view about that?
So that is something we all have to work on. There have been research which has been going on. I have cited one research paper also in my presentation. So we all as a organization now, I think Bansal sir always takes good initiative, and I'm looking forward to him. We would have to develop a framework to be able to evaluate that, because it's something which is more qualitative than quantitative. That is very sure. But then how we can approach that, we would have to, as an organization, work on it. This is something new for everybody, and obviously it's not something a very straightforward way that we can take. So that is where the challenge lies, but I think we together can do that, because that is important. As I told you, if there are two things, one design is not good and one is good, then we can't give them the same value, because that is actually not correct per se.
Okay.
Any other question?
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, yes.
Sir, madam, just wanted to know the importance of glazing, madam. I read the article that glazing increases the environment heatness outside and the environment. Is it good to use more glass?
No, obviously glazing is not good to be used in, especially in the environment that we are staying. But in our scenario, wherever I have used glazing is actually north and northeast, so which is a daylighting factor. So if there is also part of orientation that we would have to see, and by using in that areas, I'm actually giving it more daylight. The other part, which is the other side, was the west side, and there we have used very small windows. So we have done the sun path models and we have designed accordingly. And the glazing was only used in the northern and eastern areas. And wherever there was eastern areas, the louvers have been provided to cut down the glare of the sun.
Another thing, madam, regarding including greenery, madam, only we use only ornamentals plants like anything. We can't use some very good plants like mango trees, everything around the buildings.
No, you can do that.
But
You
many
can do
architects
that,
are
but you...
any design people.
Yes, sir. Please complete.
Near apartments also, I am also civil engineer, but we think that we are not using more greenery towards the for design and all. Is it affecting the? It is affecting the environment also.
Sir, for that, see, we have to do design intervention in the planning phase itself. So if you are designing the structure to take the soil load and the plantation load, and you have already planned for that actual green terrace on the top or balcony or somewhere, then you can have a natural plant being planted in that structure itself. But if you have not done any planning and later the developer, you as a user would like to keep some green plants, it means then you can only use potted plants which cannot hold trees or bigger plants for that. So it means then again the design has to be thought through in the planning stage. So when we say green terraces, we have for the projects where the green terraces were provided and the clients even wanted that, we have provided a structural system, and then there is soil and there is green plants, actual plants, and not ornamental plants.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. But technically, we have been concluded today's webinar.
Yeah, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
So I just respectfully thank all the speakers for providing us with this wonderful experience on women empowerment and the designing part, including with the case studies and all. We have learned really a lot of things in today's presentation. So I respectfully conclude this webinar with thanking all the participants and all the speakers. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. On behalf of the organization, as a managing director, I am highly thankful to all the women RVs to come forward to present all these things for the knowledge of other RVs who will be able to learn a lot from these presentations. And I am highly thankful to Gunjan, Architect Gunjan Raze ma'am and Malika Jain ma'am for their presentation, and especially Rita Minas ma'am for special presentation of gender inclusive spatial planning, and Dalsi Gupta ji and Vishakha ma'am and Mr. Amit Gupta for their special presentation on POSH Act. And POSH Act is very important, friends. POSH Act is very important, and if you are having employees more than 10, that was a especially presentation from our monitoring committee. अगर आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में 10 से ज्यादा एम्प्लॉइज हैं तो आपको इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना जरूरी है. अगर 10 से कम भी हैं तो आपको एक साइन बोर्ड अपने ऑफिस में लगाना जरूरी है टू फॉलो एंड टू whom टू कॉन्टेक्ट इन केस अगर आपके पास वुमेन क्लाइंट आते हैं. और हर आर्किटेक्ट या वैल्यूअर या इंजीनियर के पास ऐसा नहीं है कि वुमेन क्लाइंट नहीं आएंगे. तो अगर आपके पास मोर देन 10 एम्प्लॉइज हैं तो आपको एक कमेटी आईसीसी फॉर्म करना जरूरी है. अगर लेस देन 10 है तो आपको एक साइन बोर्ड अपने ऑफिस में लगाना जरूरी है कि इन केस ऑफ एनी प्रॉब्लम टू एनी वुमेन क्लाइंट और कस्टमर और एनी स्टाफ मेंबर टू whom टू कॉन्टेक्ट, और वो किस नंबर पे कॉन्टेक्ट करेंगे और वो अश्योर करें कि वो फोन उठाएंगे. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड इट इज वेरी नेसेसरी also and compulsory also for all the workplaces. And special thanks to Mohita ma'am for a double presentation and very, very knowledgeable and valuable presentation on behalf of Madhu ma'am. And of course, IT orbit building is very nice. मैं कोशिश करूंगा कभी चंडीगढ़ जाऊंगा तो इसको जरूर विजिट करूंगा. बहुत अच्छा डिजाइन है. और फ्रेंड्स ये सबके लिए एक आप इसको एज अ केस स्टडी आप हैंडल करें. जैसा अभी दिनेश सर ने पूछा कि इसको वैल्यू एडिशन किस तरह से करेंगे. वी आर सर्टेनली वर्किंग ऑन इट एंड वी विल सर्टेनली रिक्वेस्ट मोहिता मैम टू प्रेजेंट पर्टिकुलर केस स्टडी ऑन दिस इन द नेक्स्ट प्रेजेंटेशन. हाईली ग्रेटफुल टू यू and last but not the least to Akshada ma'am for marvelous and very effective hosting of this session and really commendable. And thank you very much ma'am कि मैंने आपको 1 घंटा पहले सिर्फ आपको रिक्वेस्ट किया और आपने इसको एक्सेप्ट किया. Highly grateful to you ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And with this we are concluding the technical session, and we will be here for discussing some policies matter related to organization, but not for CEP purposes, but for the organizational upliftment purposes and for your knowledge gain purposes for the as a RV.